let's come to internal networking now. And I'd like to focus on internal networking with senior executives. So much in companies is driven by politics, by what he says, what she says, what they say. A lot of behaviors are driven by assumption or by extension. So an executive will comment something in a meeting, and before you know it, perhaps unintended to them, that now becomes policy. So an executive will say, look, I don't want to be having these meetings, virtually. I really want them to be physically. Now that might be said in a moment of anguish, a moment of frustration, and the executive might have meant that will only happen for the next 2 weeks or whatever. Before you know it, everybody's there physically. People are moving the schedules around. Client meetings are not happening because the individual has to be on site because the executive said, right? And they did say it, but just didn't mean it. So, for example, so all of the second guessing and conversation is, and rules and process and unwritten realities and he said, she said, all of this is going on. So it's quite helpful if you are connected somehow to those that are in control. And it can seem really difficult when you're essentially at the bottom of the pile and you are beset with policy and procedure, official policy, and then you'll see there's so much unofficial policy. We don't do that here. We don't do that. No, you can't do that. They don't like that. No, don't do that. But surely don't do that. Having a relationship with senior exec in your department, in your division, is, I think, critical. Difficult. It's difficult, but it's critical. Why? Most individuals don't do this. Most individuals play an employee game. And that is, they turn up, they do the work, and then, go home. They don't think about themselves and driving their career. They underappreciate or do not appreciate the power of networking and connectivity across the organization and beyond. Senior executives, this is just one chapter. I'm going to talk about other networking in a moment. A senior executive can make your career. They can also break it or make it very annoying. Deliberately, usually not deliberately. So having the ability to pop in and ask a question, to pop in and check something gently and carefully is really quite useful. Having the ability to be connected to a senior executive enough that you can say, that you can ask their advice. Enough that if you have a query about joining that department or this department in their division, that you can actually sit down with the senior exec and say, look, in terms of my career move, I was thinking, I saw these two roles. I was really thinking on this one. What's your opinion? That can be tremendously valuable. And it's a resource and a methodology that is not used by most. Most are too scared or too concerned or aren't aware or don't know how. Maybe there's also a don't know how in there. I think it's fair. They are not sure how to proceed. Many are intimidated. And in some cases, that intimidation, the techniques that create the intimidation, sometimes that's deliberate, sometimes that's fanned by the organization, sometimes that's a mix of policy, sometimes the executive likes it that way. There is little use having a relationship with a poor executive. Some execs are just shocking, very difficult to work with, don't care, me. Others are really useful. Now, what have you got? And sometimes you just don't know until you get in front of them and see. You may be lucky. You may be unlucky. You may have a super stressed exec, unable to manage their time, promoted beyond their capability. This does happen often. Just constantly stressed, worried, and operating in an environment that is stressful. Sometimes a management technique, when someone doesn't know what they're doing at senior level, or is quite concerned about making decisions, doesn't want to make decisions, what they'll do is be busy. So that you will see this in the executive. I don't have time for this. I'm too busy. Right, and they're just in time everything, and they're so busy, and they're really busy. Oh my god, right? And their PA, their job, or their executive assistant, their job is to manage the busy, and then the exec deliberately will not do the thing the PA or the EA is asking, or because they don't want to make a decision. And then they end up having to go, I haven't looked at this yet. Oh, I'll need to take it to my boss. And they say, look, I'm so busy. I don't, what do you think? So their boss then goes, well, I was thinking blue. Yeah, no, exactly. I was thinking blue as well. So you'll see this is often a reality. What have you got in your organization? What have you got running your department? Have you got a busy? Have you someone in full control? Have you a thoughtful leader, very quiet, introverted? Have you got an extroverted, hello, really approachable leader? It's very difficult to know. Okay, you can begin to get an idea from how they're speaking in public, in your company, maybe how they're presenting on video or anything, or how they're writing an email, how they are in meetings. You can begin to infer, right? Nevertheless, it is useful for you to have connectivity with senior people in your company. Now, there is often a reality that says, oh, you're in this department, in this group, in this division, so you shouldn't speak to anybody else. And this is often this kind of unwritten nonsense. Do as you wish. Okay? There are, check, but I will be very surprised if in a standard company there are any rules saying you can't speak to someone outside your unit, division, etc. Right? They just aren't. Very rare. Maybe in the army or in some government secret service or something. So the executives that you should ideally know, even if they are not that helpful, practice the skill. So your department executives, so someone running your team or your unit or however that is, right? Your line manager reports into somebody else, so you want to know them. They report into somebody else, you want to know them, okay? Then they report into somebody else, and then depending on where you are and how things are, there may be more rungs, depends how big the organization is, but typically it's someone that's running your department, and then you probably want to know the person that's running the wider team, then the divisional director, and maybe even the C-level. Now, in an organization of 100,000 people, there's so much stress, so much demand, it's quite difficult to get airtime of some of these very senior people. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Now, as a DA, there is a duty of care. There is an expectation that the senior leadership, they are investing in DAs. And once or twice a year, they'll be sitting in a meeting being told by the HR team, oh, and our policy is we're going to recruit another 200 or whatever DAs. We do need your support on this. And they all go, yes. So they're bought in, right? These senior execs, and especially your department, and so they're bought into the fact that you exist. They know this. What that means is you can approach them. You are allowed to. Most people don't. Most people just don't go anywhere near it. Try it. If you don't ask, you don't get. Try creating a relationship. Here's the technique I suggest you try. Any technique, right? But here's one. So any technique is valid, but here's one. Get to know the executive assistant and the EA or the business manager or the equivalent. Their job is to interface with the rest of the business. Now, I have a chapter on them coming, but get to know them and just say hello. And remember, their job is to, yes, what do you want? Yes, hello, right? That's their job is primarily usually an interface into the rest of the team and so on, right? Because this person's very, very busy. And often the exec might be super busy. You'll typically find the EA will usually be floating, right? There might be like the swan where they're pedaling fast or it's swimming fast underneath, but usually you'll find very good executive assistants, business managers around, and they'll usually have time. Okay, toward the end of the day, for example, for you to go and have a chat to them, and go and introduce yourself. Okay, just go and say hello. It's been here a year. I'm really sorry to say I haven't actually introduced myself. That's perfectly fine. Okay, doesn't matter. Go up and say hello. And often in the UK, we're very good at knowing them, but we haven't met them, right? We know them, they know me, I know you, but we haven't actually said hello formally, right? You can go up and say, "Excuse me, I just wanted to say hello, and I thought, I'm embarrassed if this has been a period of time. I'm embarrassed I haven't actually said hello to you formally. My name is. I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself." Okay, right. Get to know them. Now, at the same time, or a couple of days, week, whatever afterwards, you can then, once you've developed that relationship with that EA, you can say, "Hey, look, Bob, Jane, do you think it's possible? Do you reckon I can get a meeting with them?" And you watch the EA go, "What?" Because usually that's at a premium, okay? And you want to be very quick and to say, "No, look, I'd love to discover their career journey. Do you reckon I can get 15 minutes with them? Do you think they'd be willing to take me through how their career has mapped out? I'd just like to know the history. How did they get to where they are? Do you think that's? I mean, it's something we've been studying. You can begin to you can use your degree studies as an excuse here because it's something I've been studying, and they've said it's quite a good idea if I can just get some perspective. So I wonder, do you think Bob or Jane? Do you think they at some point? Do you think we could do 15 minutes, just so they can take me through their? I'd love to understand their description of their career. Just be great to hear their perspective. At that point, you'll find most EAs go, all right, okay, yeah. One, this should be done. Yeah, executives are meant to be doing this kind of stuff, right? Engaging, supporting the junior team, right? Two, what's the one topic that any senior executive is delighted to talk to you about? Themselves. Right? Yes. Introverted, extroverted, doesn't matter. They will be happy to talk about themselves at length. So, expect an appointment 3 or 4 weeks hence or more, right? The EA, as long as they're helping you, they'll say, "Look, Thursday nights is usually good for him. She's really good Friday mornings because she doesn't have any. So let me put this in for you. I'll do 15 minutes." But often what the EA will do is do you a favour. They'll do 15 minutes at 4 p.m. because they know there's nothing after that, right? For example. Now, your meeting can be cancelled, moved. Yes. Get into the meeting. "Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Thank you. Good to meet you. And look, I wanted to introduce myself briefly, but really, I'm the new DA, or I've been the DA for the last, I'm in the so-and-so team." "Oh, yeah. But really, my purpose for the meeting was just, would you mind telling me about your career? I want to learn." And they were telling us in our studies that we should be interacting with senior execs and just learning more about other people's career journeys. So I wonder, would you mind just watch the exec go, well, so, okay, let me tell you, okay, so you will typically have the exec keen to describe their journey. Now, it's going to be interesting. It will be interesting. This is the deal. It will be interesting and it will be different. It will probably not be what you've expected. Your job here is to listen, learn, listen again. Okay? Ask questions. How did you get there? right? Don't be afraid to go to say, oh, sorry, would you mind? How did you get that role though? And you watch the exec go, oh, actually, good point. I got that one, but okay. Now, I may sound cynical here, but that's not my intent here, right? You will learn. You will learn. It will be really useful. The exec will enjoy telling you, okay? But you'll learn something. Now, while you're doing that, you're bonding, okay? Make sure that you're listening, right? Do not do this cynically. They can tell, right? That's just useless, right? Don't be surprised if you're genuine. If you're genuine, don't be surprised if that 15-minute meeting becomes half an hour, 45 minutes. Don't be surprised if once they finish talking to you about them, and that brings me to today. But don't be surprised when they go, but tell me about you. What are you thinking? And you can say, well, be mindful of time. Okay, be respectful of time. This is always appreciated, right? So don't go into some long story. Just keep it short. You can begin to explain your background, and you can begin to maybe turn it to where you're thinking of going. They will probably be asking, how are you finding the so-and-so team? This is really interesting. I mean, how are you getting on? And you say, well, it's really good. I really keep it all positive, always positive. Okay, even if you're really annoyed, this is not the time to be going. And actually, right, interact. Now, where's it going to go after this? I don't know. We don't know. Okay, now it's over to you. How are you going to play this? What feedback is it? Can you think of a hook that would mean you can come back to the executive? Maybe you say something like, well, I've been studying this on some of my career goals, and I do wonder if I could, I don't know if maybe in a couple of months' time, it would be all right if I could bring you back my career arc or my career. Could you bring your roadmap? Can you bring your skills gaps? Right? Can you bring your progress tracker? Okay. Now it's useful, right? And watch the exec go, yeah, absolutely. It'll be very nice. And you say, look, it'd be really useful. I don't know if maybe in a couple of months I can bring it back and just perhaps you can give me some pointers, some suggestions. Yes, of course. Mandy, Bob, can you book that book in it? That's what you want, right? Now you've got the meeting in. Now you've got it. Now when they're walking through the department, they're saying hi to you. They know who you are now. You can respectfully say hello, good morning, right? Okay, you've got connectivity, and then develop from there. Okay, all right. So that was senior executives. Just consider repeating that process for your exec, the one in your department. Then see how far you can go. All right, see how far you can go. If you don't ask, you don't get. Try it. Try different divisions, different individuals, different disciplines, and just see. Right, it's good to learn what their careers are like, and good to create that connectivity. Right, good luck.